Hello learners, welcome to the another session of chemical hazards. So in this session we can deal with the chemical toxins and also toxicants. So before going into the details of this session, so we have to go for the recap. That means we are exposed to agents in the environment. Agents may be particles, agent may be aerosols, and that can harm our health. For example, we are exposed to particulate matters in the air we breathe, or sometimes they may be different chemical and biological contaminants in the water and food we consume, and almost everywhere and in all our activities through many other sources we are inhaling chemicals. We are exposed to substances that can impact our health. Even though all of these are potentially harmful in nature and also depends on the amount we are exposed. So any entity in the environment that can potentially harm our health is known as the hazard. So chemicals may be encountered as reactants, solvents or catalysts, inhibitors as starting materials or the finished products or byproducts, contaminants and of specification products. So they may vary from pure single substance to complex or the proprietary formulations. So exposure to these chemicals maybe it is a liquid, maybe it is a solid or airborne matter as a mist or aerosols, dust, fumes, where they are very minute in nature, they are very millimicrons sized particulates. So vapors or gases in any combination also very hazardous in nature. In some situations like exposure to welding fumes or to combustion products from the fossil fuels, that includes the mixtures of both chemicals and also physical forms. So quantification of exposure is very difficult. So an exposure to a specific chemical is relatively low concentrations over a period that will result in chronic effects. At higher concentrations, these effects may be acute. So some chemicals may produce local damage at their point of contact with or sometimes how they are enter into the body, and sometimes they produce the systemic effects, that is they are transported within the body to various organs and before exerting an adverse effect. So now we will see that what is today's topic, that is a chemical toxicity. So the toxicity of a substance is its capacity to cause injury once inside entered into the body, once it is inside the body. So the main ways or the routes of entry into the body may be in industries or by the inhalation or sometimes ingestion and absorption through the skin. And some type of chemicals like gases, vapors, mist, dust, fumes and also aerosols, they can be inhaled, so they can also affect the skin, eyes and the mucous membrane. So ingestion in the is the rare possibility or the route, we can say that as a result of poor personal hygiene, or sometimes we can say that subconscious hand to mouth contact, or sometimes it is an accident. So the skin can be affected directly by the contact with the chemicals even when intact, but its permeability to certain substances is very high and also offers a route into the body. So the toxicity of a chemical is defined as it is the ability to destroy an organic system or organ system or disturb a biochemical process or a cell function in an area that is a distance from the site of contact. So the toxicity is mainly depending on the factors like what is the dose and what is the duration of exposure and the route of entry and how a particular person responds when exposure to these toxic chemicals and exposure to the other chemicals also, and another factor that is a gender, whether it is a female or male, and mixing the toxin with the other chemicals. So these are the common factors also we have to consider to exhibit the toxicity effect. So the acute and chronic toxicity of any chemical that can be diagnosed by the dose time relationship of the particular chemical. So the acute toxicity of a chemical is its ability to cause damage from a single exposure, or sometimes one exposure is sufficient to make a person to die. For example, hydrogen cyanide, hydrogen sulfide, nitrogen dioxide. and also some organophosphates, pesticides, and arsenic are some of the examples of the acute toxins. And if we will consider the chronic toxicity of any chemical is the ability to impose systemic damage after repeated exposure of a chemical with the relatively low levels for a prolonged duration. For example, mercury if we will take, lead and formaldehyde. So these chronic health effects normally occur when the chemical exposure is repeated and also severe in nature. So now we have to see the types of toxins. So the types of toxins are divided into many categories, but few important categories I would like to discuss here. First one is the carcinogens. Carcinogens are the substances which are capable of causing cancer. So abnormal or unrestrained growth of new cells in any part of the body is known as a cancer. So these carcinogens are persistent toxins that may cause the damage to human after long duration of exposure. So they do not have immediate visible harmful effects, but develop cancer only after a long latency period. So cancer is caused by changes to certain genes which are present in our body that alter the way of our cell function. So that means it deviates from the normal cell function. So some of the genetic changes that occur naturally when DNA is replicated during the process of cell division, but some others are the result of environmental exposures that damage DNA. So these exposures, they also include some substances like chemicals in the tobacco smoke or radiation or UV radiation from the sun. So any substance which causes the cancer is known as the carcinogen. But simply because a substance has been designated as a carcinogen does not mean that the substance will necessarily cause cancer. So many other factors also influence whether a person is exposed to a carcinogen will develop cancer, like amount and duration of the exposure, and individual's genetic background is also most important. So these cancers caused by the involuntary exposure to environmental carcinogens are the normally occur in subgroups of the many population, like workers in certain industries, those who may be exposed to carcinogens in their workplace. And then now we have to understand that who decides which environmental exposure can cause the cancer in human beings. Yes, there are two organizations are there. The National Toxicology Program, and it is an interagency program of the United States Department of Health and Human Services, and the International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC. So it is also the cancer agency of the World Health Organization. These two organizations have developed some lists of substances based on the available scientific evidence, and they are also known, they are reasonably anticipated to be human carcinogens. So some of the best examples of the environmental carcinogens are the aflatoxins and arsenic, asbestos, benzene, benzidine, beryllium, and 1,3-butadiene, cadmium. This is for the information of the learner that I would like to give more number of examples, that is a coal tar pitch, and then coke oven emissions, and crystalline silica, that should be present in the respirable size, and ethylene oxide, formaldehyde, hexavalent chromium compounds, and indoor emissions from the household combustion of the coal, radon, and second hand tobacco smoke. That means somebody is smoking, and then if we are present at that vicinity, so that is a second hand tobacco smoke, that is a environmental tobacco smoke. We can also consider soot and strong inorganic acid mist that contains sulfuric acid especially, and thorium, and trichloroethylene, vinyl chloride, wood dust. So these are the, there are number of examples are there, but these are the most important examples of the chemicals which normally we will come across. And the other category of toxins are the mutagens. So that means mutagens have the potential to cause the mutation. So these are the substances that can cause changes in the chromosomes by altering the DNA. That is normally, this process is known as the mutation. So these mutations can occur spontaneously, but the risk is enhanced by the exposure to some of the chemicals and also sometimes radiation. So they are chronic toxins and also have the adverse effects on fertility and the function of reproductive system. And some examples are ethidium bromide and nitrous oxide and also radiation. If we will consider the physical mutagens, that is ionizing radiations like X-rays, gamma rays and alpha particles that can cause the DNA breakage and also the other damages. The most common lab sources like cobalt 60 and cesium 137. So these are the most important carcinogenic physical carcinogens. Ultraviolet radiations with a wavelength above 260 nanometers, they are also absorbed strongly by the bases, that is producing pyrimidine dimers, and can cause the errors in replication if left uncorrected. And the radioactive decay is also one of the process like carbon 14 in DNA, which decay into the nitrogen. And the other class of toxins are the teratogens. So teratogens are also some of the environmental agents or the factors which cause abnormalities, especially in the embryo or the fetus malfunctions or growth retardation and postnatal deficiencies. So these toxins can affect both men and women. So it is not a gender biased. So chemical carcinogen, any specific chemical compound which is able to induce cancer in humans and animals is normally we can termed as a chemical carcinogen. So the exposure of these chemicals in commonly observed in the laboratory operations, or sometimes it is shops and art studios. And asbestos is also one of the cancer causing material, and some specific chemicals like coal tars and the emission from the coke oven and hardwood, sawdust and natural products and UV radiation and ionizing radiation. So then we can see that what is the classification of the toxicants. So far we have seen that toxins, that means environmentally they are natural in nature. So toxicants may sometimes they are the man-made. So the chemical toxicants, they are categorized under several classes based on their chemical composition and their mode of action also. But the broad classification is the exposure class and the second one is the user class. If we will see the exposure class, the toxicants under this class are present in domestic and occupational environment like food, water, air, soil. If we will consider the use class, that is a toxicants that include drugs of abuse or the therapeutic drugs, or sometimes maybe it is an agricultural chemical, food additives, metals, solvents and the combustion products. So some of the exposure class we can discuss briefly here. So that is a gaseous pollutants we can consider this one. That means these pollutants are gases and vapors also sometimes at normal temperature and pressure. So the toxic air pollutants of greatest concern are the carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons, hydrogen sulfide, nitrogen oxides, ozone, sulfur oxides and carbon dioxide. So the concentrations of these gaseous pollutants normally expressed as a micrograms per cubic meter, or for the gaseous pollutants as parts per million. So sometimes it may be a particulate pollutant, that means fine solids or liquid droplets which are suspended in air, and they exist in various forms like dust, and the particle size is about 100 μm in diameter and also released into the atmosphere directly from the charcoal dust or otherwise ash, sawdust or cement dust, grain dust. So in the form of fumes also they will exist in suspended solids with the size less than 1 μm in diameter, and also especially they are released from the metallurgical processes in the industries. So in the form of mist, it also exists as a liquid droplets which are suspended in air with the size of less than 2 μm diameter. So in the form of smoke, some chemicals will exist, that is a solid particles from the incomplete combustion of the fossil fuels with the size of the 0.05 to 1 μm diameter. So in the form of aerosol, that is less than 1 μm diameter, and water and soil pollutants that is a surface water pollution by the various point or the non-point sources, and some are effluents from the industrial plants or the sewage treatment plants. They are the point sources, and also pesticides, fertilizer runoffs which are carried out by the rainwater into various water bodies. They are the examples of the non-point sources. If we will consider industrial contaminants like organic waste, solvents, and inorganic waste like toxic metallic pollutants, and which are present in soil and water. And pesticides are also there, fertilizers, detergents, and some metals which are important pollutants, they are released from the urban areas. Fertilizers and pesticides which are applied directly to the soil in the course of action in the agricultural fields, they move from the soil to the water and also make the way to enter into the food chain. So in another way is they leach out of the soil or the runoff through the rain and also flows into the water bodies. Like metal toxicants that are mainly classified into three groups: metals which are suspected to be carcinogen, and the metals that transport readily into soil, and the third category is metals that proceeds through the food chain. One example I would like to give over here is lead. The source of lead in water are from the lead pipes and lead solders. Our lead soil pollution is from the seepage of lead from the fallout from the leaded gasoline or hazardous waste sites. So lead poisoning has been common in children, particularly in older housing units and the inner city dwellings also. The children may consume chips of lead, that is contaminated paint. So the toxicity of lead mainly damages the hematopoietic system and also the nervous system. At low levels of exposure, hyperactivity decreased, and then attention span and also mental deficiencies and impaired vision is observed in children. And next come to the arsenic. So it is a contamination due to the leaching of the pesticide sprays and released by the combustion of arsenic containing fossil fuels, smelters, and then mine off. And toxic level exposures that can produce abnormal skin pigmentation and hyperkeratosis and nasal congestion and also abdominal pain. So some epidemiological studies have connected chronic arsenic exposure to various cancers like skin cancer, lung cancer, and lymph glands in human beings. And another most important carcinogenic metal is the cadmium. It is released from the industrial effluents and also enters into the water bodies untreated. So this cadmium untreated contamination water is used for the irrigation. So the toxicity of cadmium is recognized in Japan first after the outbreak of the disease Itai. So the people who suffer with this disease have the combination of severe kidney damage and painful bone and joint, and also recognized that in areas where rice is contaminated with the high levels of cadmium. Another important metal is mercury. So mercury poison is recognized after Minamata tragedy occurred in Japan. So the effluents from a chemical factory and also plastic plant that containing mercury were released into the Minamata Bay. So bacteria in the aquatic sediments which converted these mercury into methyl mercury, and that was absorbed by the aquatic animals. So consumption of mercury contaminated fish or the shellfish by the people suffered from the mercury poisoning or the Minamata disease that resulted finally into the death. Systems and the manure leach from the soils and enter water bodies like phosphate fertilizers that have a tendency to be absorbed and get accumulated, and the increase in the nutrients like phosphates that leads to the algal bloom or the eutrophication in water bodies. This algal bloom, what it will do, it will choke off the light penetration and lessens the atmospheric reoxygenation of the water bodies that creates the anaerobic conditions and finally death of many aquatic organisms. And if we will consider the volatile organic compounds, which are group of halogenated solvents and petroleum products, they are used in large quantities by the many of the industries like degreasing for the equipment and the dry cleaning and paint. So these the VOC's properties, they will move quickly into groundwater and contaminate. So the exposure of the volatile organic compounds can cause the headache, impaired cognition and kidney damage, and also acute levels of exposure that leads to the cancer. And particularly childhood, there is a leukemia can also occur. And now we will move to the user class. So first we have considered the exposure, next is the user class. In this, food additives are there. That means these are the compounds which are deliberately added to the food food products to improve the color, texture, flavor and appearance, and also for the preservation. So according to the World Health Organization, food additives are the non-nutritive substance which added intentionally to food, generally in small quantities to improve its appearance or the flavor, texture or the storage properties. So few types of food additives we can check, that is according to the Federal Food, Drug and Cosmetic Act, there are 5 categories of compounds which are associated with the human food that normally we can call them as generally recognized as safe, that is a GRAS. So category 1, that is a whose GRAS stature was reaffirmed. Category 2 is there is no evidence of toxic hazards. If we will consider category 3, that is additional studies are required for safety. Category 4, that is incomplete reaffirmed safety, that is evidence of toxicity was reported. Category 5 is no biological studies available. So these are the some of the categories of the food additives. Next, food colors. There are also sometimes natural pigments which are present in the fresh foods and disappear and show toxic effects due to the adverse physical and chemical processing methods. It decreases the visual perception of the food product, and at about normally 75% of the food products are processed in developed countries. So all food manufacturers, they will replace lost that color and also appearance by the additives. So food colors are used to restore the original appearance. So uniformity and intensity of the food color and the preservation technique and the flavor, and to protect light sensitive vitamins and that attractive appearance to the colorless gelatin desserts and to identification colorants. So for the identification of colorants, especially they are non-synthetic in nature or the nature is identical and inorganic colors, and they are extracted from the animal, plant or mineral source. Dear learner, so far we have learnt about the chemical toxins as well as the chemical toxicants which are present in the natural as well as the working places, and also some are the human generated or the synthetic additives which can act as intoxicants, but they can pose the adverse effects on the health. So I would like to conclude over here that all chemical compounds can be degraded into various types of physical and chemical hazards. So it can be considered a type of occupational hazards that is caused by the workplace exposure to chemicals or in the indoor facilities, and also have acute or the long term detrimental health effects. So we have already discussed the chemical hazards by the flammable chemical materials, corrosive chemical materials and reactive chemical materials, and today we have also discussed about the chemical toxins like neurotoxins, carcinogens, mutagens, teratogens and reproductive toxins and systemic toxins and sensitizers that can cause the adverse health effect. So hazard is present in the environment, and we are exposed through an exposure pathway, whether it is a water, whether it is a air we breathe, and the dose of the hazard inside the body comes in contact with the tissues, then it exerts an action. So that means the body acts on the hazardous object or it transformed products, and then what would be the result? The result is the health effects, that is the risk. So we have to understand all these vicious cycle of the environmental particulates, environmental toxins which can pose the adverse effects on the human health. Hope this session will be definitely beneficial for the understanding of the environmental and occupational hazards. Next session we will come up with some other aspects of the environmental and occupational hazards. Thank you.